We're good to go. You're recording.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. I will call to order the meeting of the residency board. It is 4:30 on May 15th. And we have a short agenda today. Present, we have Councilmember Kelly Kimbrough, myself, Corporation Counsel Marisa Franchini, Chief of Staff David Gallen, as far as board members, and also present we have Phil Banachek from the Law Department, Danielle Gillespie, our City Clerk, and Commissioner Joe Coffey from the Water Department. So thank you all for being here. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. I trust that everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes. Did we send them out? We can skip that one for now. We'll skip that one for now so that everyone has a chance to review those. And then we'll move on to the first item of actual business, which is the application from the Water Department of an employee for the position of Equipment Operator 1. I'll turn it over to the Commissioner to give us a little bit of background on the position and the applicant.
Thanks, Marissa. The EO1 position is a truck driver position in the Water Department or in the city under the CBA we have. And it does require a commercial driver's license, a CDL. So I think as everyone knows, that's always been kind of a little bit of a limiting thing now with the difficulty in obtaining one. In this particular case, the position that we had posted until filled was for a truck driver with the CDL for the night shift, which in our case for the Water Department, the night shift is 3:30 to 11:30. I'm sorry. And generally that shift will tend not to get as many applicants for any position because it's an evening shift, not a day shift. Everybody wants to, it seems like they want to work days. So we had one applicant for the position. When I submitted this, it was Kenny for the night shift position. He has a CDL. He had actually been a former employee of the Water Department for a few years. I think I got to 2012 until he left in 2019. His dad actually worked for the Water Department, retired from the Water Department as a backhoe operator. I just don't know sports. I can't remember his real first name, but he worked for us for a long time and retired after I became commissioner. Kenny has a background like a 2 degree in criminal justice, and I think his passion had been to work in the field. So he worked in the Water Department, left us in 2019 to go work as a corrections officer in Rensselaer County. And I think he likes the job, but as he told the folks that were interviewing him, he was on at the point now where they had mandatory overtime, 16-hour shifts, multiple days a week, and it was just wearing him out. And so even though you have a passion, you gotta kind of like your job, but you got to be able to kind of enjoy while you're doing it. So he actually came back and asked if we would consider his return to the Water Department. And I explained to him, I said, Kenny, even though you had worked here before, there was a residency requirement in the city that was passed in 2014 for folks coming to work with us that they need to be residents. And he explained, geez, not for nothing, but I got my grandmother's house with this guy that I got a mortgage, blah, blah, blah. And I think everyone has probably heard that mantra before. And so I think it'd be difficult for him to make the move from Rensselaer County to Albany. And I think the thing that I was reluctant to approach for a residency waiver because of, some recent things we're looking at, the difficulty. I know that and processing those, I personally believe it's an important thing. But I think in this case, what made me more comfortable is the fact that he had worked for us before within the Water Department. He was a good employee. And so again, it's hard for me to figure out what is a hardship, from the city's perspective. So I just wanted to present the information as he had reported it to us and kind of make the case more primarily from the fact that he had worked with us before. And he's the only applicant we have. So right now we've been covering the shift with double shifts or trying to get an upgrade from somebody else to cover it for several weeks. I think that if there's any questions, but that's the basic gist of the request.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I will go ahead and move that we grant the residency exemption for the 6 month, for the 1 year period pursuant to the statute for Kenneth Buell to work as the EO1 of the department.
Awesome.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is everybody. It's unanimous. So that is great. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. The next item is also from the water department, and it's kind of an unusual application. I don't know if we've ever considered this formally before. However, we, as a board, have, you've kept us aware of this issue throughout the years that you have 2 work sites that are outside of the city of Albany, and you've had a problem filling those positions with Albany residents just because of the distance. So what the application is for a blanket exemption for those positions. So why don't you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I think I want to just really put it, it's not as urgent as the initial request to have for Kenny Dual. But I would like the board to consider, or at least evaluate, there's 2 different facilities we have. The Alcove facility, it's really at the Alcove Reservoir. It's 20 miles from the city. It's pretty remote. It's in Queens Hollow. Actually, most of the applicants we get are folks that can actually almost walk there or drive there because they live in Ravenna or someplace right around the reservoir. The security positions that report there are equivalent to labor 2, 3, 7. They pay about $38,000 a year. And a lot of the people that work here, they're second jobs for folks. This is a 24/7 facility. So we actually staff Alcove. That's probably our most critical facility because where it is, and we just built a new office out here that we can make it a little bit more professional and put our cameras and everything in a more friendly environment than a farmhouse that has vermin in it. The leads was built probably before the Civil War. So it really is something that categorically, I think every time I've come in, the board's been very supportive in granting the residency waivers for the applicants, nearly all of whom live in Queens Hollow or Alcove or somewhere out in that area. So that one I think is a standalone that at some point, if not today, but at the future, as the board deliberates and considers, that would be one that I would ask if we could almost get a blanket exemption from the residency rule. The second one is Bush, and it's a little different circumstance. Bush is the treatment plant is located on Old Quarry Road. If you're familiar with driving out 32, you see Savick, the old GE Selkirk facility. Then you've got the big rail yard. Once you cross the rail yard, you start heading up over the hill a little bit, and you get just into over the hill, and there's a left turn. You've got about 3 miles on Old Quarry Road, Stone Quarry Road, and that's where the treatment plant is. It's a nice ride unless it's midnight in the wintertime or in a bad storm. It's tough to get there. That facility is about 8 miles from Albany. And we've got probably 50-50. Some of our employees, primarily some of the younger ones, the lab technicians, the folks who just got out of college, were kind of Albany residents. So it wasn't as much an issue with them. But some of the folks, the maintenance people, a couple of the operators actually live out in that general area. So when I've come and asked for residency waivers, they were granted. So when I'm thinking there, maybe that's a facility where if there's not so much a blanket exemption, but if there is a pressing need that, you have a hardship, you have a hard to fill, it's very few applicants, maybe that's one that I would bring. And if a residency waiver is granted based on that, perhaps that would be one that I would not have to do an annual renewal, for example. So it wouldn't be the same exclusion or exemption as we have for Alcove. It's a little more, it's different because the circumstances are different. So that was just the 2 things I wanted to just put before the board for some consideration. It doesn't have to be today, certainly, but at some point, perhaps in the future, to be deliberated a little bit more. Does that make sense? A little bit from.
Yeah, I mean, I think you brought issues regarding both of these locations to us before, so I don't think it should come as a surprise to anyone. But we can certainly, talk to some of the other members.
Yeah, that's probably something really probably more the full board discuss.
Yeah, we'll put it out there now, and we can talk about it again the next time as well.
Okay. Yeah, if you need to come back and talk, I'd be happy to do so. But I want to again thank you for granting the waiver for Kenny. That's incredible for us. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, great. But they're a good hire, so thank you.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. All right, so that is all we have for today. I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.